All right, Algebra 2, Math Excel homework, problem 2.5.49. So you've got this object that's being thrown up in the air, and it's given, the height of it's given by the equation 64t. The 64 is the initial velocity, linear term, and then due to gravitational pull, the negative 16t squared. And so if it's times 0, so if you put a 0 in here as initial time, those terms both cancel out. The height would be 0. So this object is actually starting right at the origin, and then it's going up and coming down over here. And the question that it asks is, how long does it take to return to its original height, which would be height 0. So we'd be solving the equation of 0, so my time here, my height over here, the 64t minus 16t squared. And so then how do I solve that? Would be, I would factor out a 16t. So this is 16 times 4 is 64. And then this would just be 4 minus a t there, set each of them equal to 0. So here you get times 0, that would be right here. And then when does 4 minus t equal 0? That would be when t is 4, so this would be my other time right there. So 4 seconds would be when it returns to its original position. Then it goes on to ask you a second part to the question about, well, when would it be 20 feet above the ground? So that's just the same, like, kind of problem here, except we're going to say our height now is 20, and the 64t minus 16t squared. So to solve that quadratic, I kind of like the idea of moving everything over to the left. I like my t squared term to be positive. So then that would, when I add that to the left, subtract the 64t over, and then I still have that plus 20 over there. So now I've moved everything to one side, equals 0. Everything looks to be divisible by at least a 4 there. So if I divided everything by a 4, this would give me 4t squared minus 8. I don't think that's right. 16. 16t plus 5. And then let's see, to get a 16, I don't think that's going to factor. So I think we're going to be left with like a quadratic formula to solve for that. So to find, it says how long after it's thrown up in the air will it get to the 20 feet. And so I believe that you're going to have a problem that's like that. And then we'll have to check and see. If it goes across here, we'd have 2 solutions. If it hit right up here, just right on the vertex, that'd be 1 solution. And it's possible that it never gets that high at all. So like up here, we'd have no solutions. So 4t squared minus 16t plus 5, then we could do something like the quadratic formula. So x equals negative e plus or minus the square root of b squared. I don't know, that's a big number. 16 or negative 16 squared are both positive. Minus 4ac all over 2a, 2 times 4 is 8. And then it's just put that in the calculator and see what the 2 answers are that I get. I think it said to round it off. Well, let's see. So in the calculator it goes 16. I'll do the minus first since that's the smaller one. Square root 16 squared minus 4 in parentheses, another 4, and another set of parentheses next to that, a 5. I'm going to hit enter to get that whole numerator with the minus and divide that by an 8, and I get 0.34. So 0.34 was with the minus. And then do the exact same thing except change that minus to a plus in front of the square root. And divide that by the 8 in the denominator and get something like 3.65. And since it said round to the nearest tenth, you look at the number after the 10th spot. First one would be 0.3. Second one would be 3.7. And put those in, and I think we're good to go. So the situation would have been the yellow line because we did get 2 real answers. If it came out to just one answer, like under the square root, the discriminant was a 0, that would be the blue line. And if you had a negative under this discriminant, under the square root, that would have been the pink line up at top. There was no solution. So there you go, problem 2.5.49 for Algebra 2 in the Math Excel homework.